And everyone who will see this, many of you love it when I show you history. A lot of history that's been swept over by the Black community and just America, period. Things we just don't hear about that shock me when I run across it. And shout out to my subscriber. You saw my video about Tip Who Tip, Nanny Burroughs, Sister, the Black Patty. I have a playlist that I made on my page. It's called Unveiled. This is part of my series called Unveiled. Okay, this is where I show history, Black history that's often been covered up, in my opinion, or just not talked about, to wake us up. Okay, so check that out on my page. This video right here will be uploaded onto the playlist so you can see the videos I've made so far. This is about my 5th or 6th video of showing some Black history that we just need to know about, seriously. And one of my subscribers had mentioned William Ellison to me. I had never heard of him until one of my subscribers mentioned his name. So I decided to look up, who is William Ellison? Who is this man? Because they said he had slaves. Now, as you can see on the screen, I have the feathers in the background because I believe the truth shall set you free. And one thing I've learned, and I'm learning, is that Black people as a whole truly like to nitpick parts of slavery and paint a certain narrative that is not 100% accurate. No, it is not. And the things I've been reading proves that every time I show these videos, it shows that more and more it was a business that Black people were involved in. The Black man, a dash of Black women, but a number of Black men, complacent with the system of slavery. Even to this day, I believe that a number are not upset with oppression and slavery and everything. They just want a piece of the pie. I believe that if the Black man got any power, we already see how the Black woman is done. I believe it would be way worse, what you would see, given any real position of real power. And what I'm going to show you tonight, your jaw, if you never heard about this man, your jaw is going to drop. I'm going to show you some things regarding his family, who some of them are completely ashamed, as they should be, in my opinion, and some have different opinions about this man. Hey, Melanin Chocolate. You know, when I read what I read, I literally bust out laughing because I said, "Oh my God. Oh my God. I am going to have to share this. There is no way I'm not going to tell you about this." You know, we talk about African men selling slaves off. That's a fact. It happened. But you don't hear about the African Americans' role in slavery. Now, I already have a video about the African American men who purchased slave wives, and if they didn't like their wife from a trial period, they put her back into slavery. Yes, it's in a book written by a Black man, research and everything. And now I have right here, during the year 1830, the 1830s through the 1860s, there was a Black man named William Ellison who owned slaves, had a plantation. You're not going to believe this. I said, "Oh my God, what will the Black American man say after this tonight?" I mean, I already have another great video. What will they say? They never tend to say anything. You know, a real opinion about this. Okay? So, my goodness, let's get started. Let's get started. You know, anyone who misses this, you can always do the replay. Just watch this video. Give your comments in the comments section. All right, so his name was William Ellison. That's his picture. There are literally only 2 pictures of this man. 2 of them look a little different but similar, but this is the most popular picture of this is what he supposedly looked like. Okay, he's from the Virginia area. His look is extremely common in that area. Okay, he was born a slave. So let's get into this. Let's get into this. Okay, sorry. His early life, okay? Let's read a little bit about who he is first before I give you the real tea. His name was William Ellison Jr. Okay. He was named April by his master when he was born into slavery in 1790 on a plantation in Winnsboro, South Carolina. Okay, sorry, South Carolina, my fault. The name indicated the month he was born, which was a common slave practice. In the year 1800 through 1802, the man April was documented as owned by William Ellison of Fairfield County. So his slave master name was William Ellison, but he was named April because he was born in the month of April. Eventually, he took on the name William Ellison. He was an apprentice at 10 years old to a cotton gin maker. Oh, yes, Sherry. It doesn't matter if what his racial background is. This is black people's people right here. This is our people from the slave days, okay? All that mixing going on, that's how we got here, okay? You can find black African American men that look like him all throughout the South and certain parts of the South. And he was a slave. Everybody was a slave who wasn't white. If you were born of a slave woman, you was a slave. You know, these are our people. So they can try to deflect all they want to. This is their people. This was a slave. So, okay. He was an apprentice at 10 years old. 10 years old to a cotton gin maker, William McWright of Winnsboro. So this would provide him with a very valuable, highly skilled trade to make a living as an adult. Cotton gins were in demand, okay? So the invention of the cotton gin at the end of the 18th century led to the widespread cultivation of the short staple cotton across the upland areas of the Deep South, establishing the Black Belt and stimulating widespread changes in land use. Hundreds of thousands of new settlers were attracted to the region, and they created pressure for the federal government to conduct Indian removal. Okay, let's just go to the next thing. Okay, so what it said so far about him, as you can see his picture on the left, he was born in 1790. He was born a slave. His name was April because he was born in the month of April. His slave master name was Wilson Ellison of Fairfield County. And William Ellison, or April, was born in South Carolina. He was an apprentice at 10 years old, working the cotton gin, okay, so that he could make money as an adult. All right, so now it says, let's see, let me zoom in a little bit. He completed his apprenticeship after 6 years and continued to work at the shop as a hired hand. Most of his money went to his master. He was hired out, but he was allowed to keep a portion of the money, and he purchased his freedom with the money. So he was working young for the cotton gin, and he paid for his freedom from his slave owner, William Ellison, which was a common practice according to the black codes of South Carolina and Louisiana to pay slaves for any labor performed on Sunday. So he continued to learn the variety of skills related to cotton gin making and repair. So he learned the trade with cotton gin, and he paid for his freedom. So let's see. And he learned how to blacksmith. All right, let's go to the next thing. Give me a second. He took a wife. He got married at 21 years old. He bought his freedom when he was 26 years old. He purchased his wife. That's what they was doing. He purchased his wife and children to protect them from being sold as slaves. All right. All right, let's see. Oh my God. Hey, Sparkle, Sparkle. So he paid for his freedom at 26. He purchased his wife. She was 21 years old. They had kids and he paid for them. He purchased them as slaves so they would not be, he just purchased their freedom. Okay? So he gained freedom for his sons and for his daughter. And you will not believe this. During the American Civil War, Ellison and his sons supported the Confederate States of America and gave the government substantial donations and aid. Do you not see what I just read to you? The Confederacy was fighting to keep slavery. The Confederate States supported slavery. Later in his life, him and his sons supported the so-called enemy white man that's oppressing them. That's what they claim, right? They supported the very same people that was fighting to keep people, black people, as slaves. They gave donations to the damn government to help them. Do you not see what I just read to you? And his grandson fought with the regular Confederate army and survived the war. What will black men and the mammies have to say about what I just read to you? They talk about the Confederate people. The whole Civil War was about keeping slavery, the Confederacy versus the North. The Confederacy wanted to keep their rights to enslave black people and have slavery. This guy ends up with a plantation and has kids, and they donate to the government to keep slavery. I cannot make this up. This is true. This is documented. Can you believe what I just read to you? Oh my God. So, now it's time, real quick, to get into the tea. Who was this guy really? We know a little bit right now about him. He was born into slavery. William Ellison, a name he later took on. He was named April because he was born in the month of April. He worked with the cotton gin for his slave owner where he gave him money, but eventually he paid for his own freedom. And then he got married at 26 years old, where he purchased his slave wife. And then they had children together. But let's learn more about, okay, we got that part. But what else is there to know about this guy? This man who was just a former slave, who was not recognized as a white man, who was seen as Negro. Well, let's see. Some facts right here. Okay. It says that he was a cotton gin maker. We know that. And a blacksmith in South Carolina. A former African American slave who achieved considerable success as a slave owner before the American Civil War. An African American who achieved considerable success as a slave owner before the American Civil War. He became a major planter and one of the median property owners and one of the wealthiest property owners in the state. According to the 1860 census, he owned 63 black slaves, making him the largest of the 171 black slave owners in South Carolina. So, that means there was 170 more black people that owned slaves in South Carolina. He had 63 and he was very successful. What will the black community say about this? My God, this ain't an African. This an African American. Y'all know the oppressed. The white man had him chained up and was beating his butt and ruining his family and ruining his life. Well, I just read to you. This guy had slaves. He was a major planter, one of the wealthiest property owners in the state. My God. He had 40 slaves at his death and more than 1,000 acres of land. That's a hell of a lot of land. From 1830 to 1865, he and his sons were the only free blacks in Sumter County, South Carolina, to own slaves. My God. So, from 1830, I know I'm repeating it because I needed to sink in. From 1830 to 1865, only him and his sons were the only free blacks to have slaves, as if this is something to boast about. The county, thank you, Marco Garcia. Native Americans had black slaves. What tribe? Everybody talks about the Cherokee. There were a lot of different tribes besides the Cherokee. There are a lot of black people who are not mixed with Cherokee, who are not descendants of people who had them. I get it. People say that, but there were so many damn Native American tribes. The only one that's well known that had slaves was the Cherokee. And we ain't all mixed with Cherokee. You got people mixed with Choctaw, Blackfoot, okay? The natives in Louisiana. He's an African American. I mean, we know the history in this country. I mean, white people was sleeping with Africans. So these are our people still. So, and he was a slave. Okay. It says that him and his sons were among a number of successful free people of color in the antebellum years. But Ellison's master had passed on social capital by apprenticing him to learn a valuable artisan trade as a cotton gin maker, at which Ellison made a success. So he learned again the trade of the cotton gin that helped him make money. You know, his master had him learn how to do it. So he took a wife at 21 years old again. And also, Marco, stop trying to take the attention. I appreciate the donation, but we're not taking the attention off the black man tonight. I don't want to talk about Native Americans. This is about the black African American man tonight and his treachery. I'm not playing. Okay. Okay, let me skip through. All right, so he was 26 when he got married. He took a wife at 21 years old. A few years later, he purchased his wife and they had children. To protect them from being sold as slaves, he bought them. Okay, I read that part already. During the American Civil War, him and his sons supported the racist Confederate States of America and had the nerve to give the government money and donations. Can you believe some shit like this? Can you believe it? You know, Candace Owens said that black people act more angrier today about slavery than the black people back then. I think she was on to something. It couldn't have been that bad. You got a man who was born into slavery giving donations to the very same government that wants to keep slavery. Can you make this shit up? My God. Okay. So he had 63 slaves, and before his death, and he died in 1961. Hold on, 1860 or I think it was 1860. It might have been 1860. But he had 40 slaves before he died. My God. Okay. So I read up something. I was curious to know some more things. Well, you got some of his family members who are embarrassed about it and they don't want to be talked to. And his bloodline supposedly died off because it did. I mean, he had the girls don't typically carry on the name. So one of his relatives became a doctor and refused to, he doesn't even want to talk about it. I think he's so embarrassed about it. But there is one relative who wasn't so embarrassed and they interviewed him. So this is what it said from the Tampa Bay Times. Memoirs from the time suggested He didn't treat his slaves well. Okay, now, because we have black people who will say, well, it was different. Black people and who had slaves treated them different, as if they have any evidence of this. Where do they get this from? They can't even prove that. According to the memoirs, they said he didn't treat the slaves well. William Ellison's slaves were said to be the most overworked and ill-clothed in the district. Oh, this is not something Dr. Ellison has wanted to talk about. I think Dr. Ellison is one of his descendants. Okay? So, he didn't treat the slaves well, and they were the most ill-clothed in the district. Growing up in North Carolina during the Great Depression, Dr. Ellison wondered why his family's lifestyle was better than other black families in Greensboro, North Carolina. But his questions about his family went unanswered. Okay, so Dr. Ellison is a descendant of William Ellison, and his family was well off, and he didn't know why. He didn't know the history of William Ellison, his grandfather or great grandfather. He didn't know, but he wondered, why are we better off than other black people? He said, "Thank you, Marco Garcia. Black slave owners supported the Confederacy, and that's a damn disgrace." But it goes to show you, you see, we're not so innocent, all of us, and it's a disgrace. That's all I can say. So, okay. He said, my mother used to protect me from that since I was the youngest, about our family history. As he grew older, he learned several members of his family made money buying and selling other black people, using them as slaves. He said, this came into my life about the time of the civil rights came out, and I know nobody would be wanting to brag about blacks owning other blacks. About the time I found out was when everybody was looking into their heritage and how blacks had been mistreated. You know where I found out most of my family's history? When I got married, my mother told my wife, my father never talked at all about his family. If it was up to him, I would have never even known I was born. Oh my God. So his daddy didn't want to talk about it. His daddy tried to cover it up, but his mother told his wife about the true history of their family. Okay. At the start of the Civil War, the war fought to keep slavery in America, he owned 63 slaves in a plantation. He hired slave catchers to hunt down those who ran away, just like the white man they talk about. He even sold his slaves female children. He sold off the women, y'all, the girls. So this ain't no innocent motherfucker right here. This is, let me calm down. Girl, let me calm down. They always talk about the white man. Black people that's into this pro-black stuff, they're not all stupid. They know about this shit. They just don't like to talk about it. They go on and on about the white man, but they don't talk about this. He owned 63 slaves. He had an 800-acre plantation, even though the article I read said he had a 1,000-acre plantation. He hired slave catchers to hunt down the slaves that ran away, the other black people, and sold off the girl children, the black girls. He sold them off. Apparently because they were no use to his cotton gin business. Okay. And he died in 1861. But his descendants continued to live in the house in Statesburg, South Carolina, until 1923. 12 years. You see this? I mean, read this part again. Take it in what I'm reading to you. It might seem unbelievable tonight, I'm sure, but it's documented. So much for the evil white man that sells off black women's children. You got a black man He is a slave master. And he's not apologizing for it, and didn't. He had them slaves until he died. And why the hell don't we ever talk about black people owning slaves? I don't understand. We want to act like it's only the white man. It's disgusting. Okay, 12 years after the house was sold, 3 little girls playing outside stumbled across a wooden crate hidden beneath the porch. Inside was a collection of molding letters written by Ellison family members. The letters talked about politics, gossip, and of course, the management of the family slaves. Oh my God. So the family knew too. Some of the family knew all about it. Descendants of his family had guarded their past and one by one carried it until their graves because they was ashamed. They knew that shit was wrong. The descendants of the family guarded it, and one by one they carried it into their graves. But now, because of the letters, the secret was out. Oh, snap. And what does it say about the white man, too, that he was allowed to have slaves? Isn't that interesting? The white man is controlling everything, but this black man was allowed to have slaves. So, was it just the evil white man wanting to oppress people, or was it in fact a business, just like Henry Louis Gates said, a business? And if you could get on, you could get on. But it shows the black man will get on if he can get on, even if it means enslaving and selling the black girls off and all that other stuff. I'm telling you. Whatever, Serenity Tarot, your comment ain't even showing right now. He ain't my great great granddaddy. You can keep it. He ain't my great granddaddy. But I mean, seriously. Yeah, they took it to their graves. When you take something to your grave, it's something you know is fucked up, and you don't want nobody to know about it. That why they take it to their graves for? About their relative. My goodness. So it says here, family history is always dangerous. It's a dangerous business. We are poking around in people's private lives, and there are some things people don't want told. We encountered a great deal of sensitivity. This family is complex because of their history. Is William Ellison a man to be celebrated or ashamed of? It's an amazing story of achievement under the most difficult circumstances. Achievement. But then he knew what slavery was all about and he was willing to implicate others. Some would say his crime is greater than that of white people. The Ellisons were hardly the only black masters in the antebellum South. Census records show in 1860 there were 122 free blacks in Charleston, South Carolina who owned slaves. 122 other black people that's owning slaves. I want to know, were they men? Most of them owned only 1 or 2 slaves. None owned as many as William Ellison, who had 63. Mm, mm. My God. So his relatives said this, and this is a man, by the way. I think my great-grandfather did very well for the time he lived. But if he lived now and had the same attitude he had then, he'd be called an Uncle Tom. If you just look at it, he was an Uncle Tom, but he had to do what he had to do to survive because he lived in South Carolina and he ran a gin mill and everybody he dealt with was white. He had to be very particular and careful in how he dealt with them. By working hard, he purchased his own freedom and didn't give nobody gave him anything. His wife was a slave and he purchased her freedom too. I feel some pride mixed in there because he had the mental capacity to run a mill and was a very important member to the community. Okay, and your motherfucking granddaddy also sold off black girls, splitting them from their families like a white slave master. And the report is the slaves he had were the worst dressed in the whole fucking county, wearing scraps. He didn't take care of them. And he had them hunted down when they tried to escape. Get the fuck out of here. Okay. He kept his family together and was their source of strength and inspiration for generations. That's pretty impressive to me. The thing that makes this story so powerful is that it seems more wrong for there to be black masters, Johnson said. You think? In my own view, it's understandable for both. Not acceptable, but understandable. I feel some pride mixed in there. The president of the Youngstown NAACP never knew anything about the Ellison family history. All he knew was the man who dedicated himself to improving the quality of life in the black community. So the NAACP guy doesn't research? Why am I not shocked? So, Frank Ellis in the chat says, I have a question. Don't you think another race would have done the same thing? It was about survival. Do I think another race that's enslaved would then get free and enslave their own? I could see if they're gonna enslave them and protect them. Like, okay, look, y'all, I got this money. I'm gonna get the plantation. I'm gonna hire you. You're gonna be my slave. I'm not gonna beat you. I'm not gonna rape you. I'm not gonna split you from your family. I'm gonna pay you good wages, and then I'm gonna let you buy your freedom from me. This how we gonna do this. Instead, he got 63 slaves, had a plantation, had them hunted down if they tried to escape. They were dressed the worst around the county in scraps, and he sold off the girls. So now, if another group would do it, perhaps they would be more strategic, like I said, and actually have them as a slave so that he can treat them well, and then they could buy their freedom from him and become free. You know, some type of plan to change up the system. He didn't do that. The guy was a fucking slave master just like anybody else and practiced the same things they would do. The family knew. That's why they took it to their graves, because they were embarrassed about the shit. Yes, Natasha, thank you. It said his slaves were among the worst treated slaves. I read that part for that man asking that question. Don't try to, at the end of the day, Frank, what does it say about y'all? I believe if the black man could sell us into slavery right now, especially black women, oh my God, I think he would do it. Just to get some riches. I mean, they do it still in Africa. Marco said that I know already about slavery in parts of Africa that goes on to this day. The sex trade in Africa, they sell black women off to white Italian men in Italy, the African Nigerian men. I mean, this just is nothing new about the treachery and selling us out. Let's just be honest here. So, I think I've said a mouthful about this man. And if you want to research about him, let me get rid of somebody that doesn't need to be over here. You don't need to be over here. I won't even read what you said. Apparently, I'm suffering from a self-hatred because I'm bringing you this information. I just told you his slaves were known as some of the worst treated ones. He hunted them down and he sold off black girls, separating them. But yet I'm suffering from a problem because I'm telling you about an African American man, not an African, that had 63 slaves, more than anybody in his area, and there were 170 other black people who had slaves? No, what you want is, you don't want people to hear about this. You don't want black people to hear about this. You want us to continue to go on and on about the white man over and over and over again. But he got in where he fit in, right? He wanted a piece of the pie. It's not like, again, he had some master plan to become a slave owner and hire black people that he would take care of and let them purchase their freedom from him. Shit, if you're going to do it, that's how you do it. Instead, he didn't. So please, go ahead and get upset. I'm spilling the tea, and if you don't like it, don't like it. But you're going to learn the truth, going to set you free. Thank you, Marco Garcia. It's important to know evil and devils have no color. Exactly. But I'm tired of us painting a picture. We lie to ourselves about slavery. And this country covers it up too. I don't know why this isn't in history books. It's sort of weird. Thank you, Melon and Chocolate. I'm not playing. I am exposing the truth. I said I was going to do it, and I'm going to continue to do it. Whatever I find. Even if it's things I don't like, you know? So I'm happy to bring this information to you. Please watch this video over if you're just coming in, about William Ellison, an African-American black man, slave owner with 63 slaves, and everything I read to you. So, thank you. Hold on. August Bourne says, instead of owning them, why not employ them? Well, that is true. But perhaps they had to be slaves to work for him. I mean, it was a cotton gin, and that's all a slave was, an employed person that works for free a lot. But I don't know, because they did make money. He purchased his own freedom from his slave master, you know. So let the deflection come later on in the comments section. Expect to see it. It's usually one or two that'll pop up that's going to call me names, that's going to get mad, that's going to say, make excuses for this man, and skip over what I said about how he treated his slaves and what he did to the black girls. So, y'all, this is it for tonight. I'm happy to bring this shocking information in Black history. Again, you can go on my playlist. Maybe I should pull that up in here. I think I will. You know, it's not like I actually get enjoyment having to read these disgusting things that black men are participating in the past. No one likes to. This is nothing to be proud of. I mean, shit. It's actually embarrassing. But it's something, I mean, if his own family went to the grave with this information, of course we're not going to hear about it. They wanted to die, you know, the truth to die off, and it's not. This is documented history, and whether we like it or not, I mean, this is what has happened. Okay, so I'm trying to pull up my page real quick because I want to show you something really fast. All right. I'm going to pull up the screen. All right. Let's see if I can. Give me a second. Do not want this noise on the computer. Okay. Basically, give me a quick second. I knew a troll would come. There were about 2 trolls earlier who are upset. You know, they don't like the truth to come out whatsoever. Okay, so If you go on my page, you will see a playlist. It is called Unveiled, Shocking Black History You Don't Hear About by Black People. And stuff we've forgotten about too. I wasn't sure what to call this playlist. I might change it, but the series is called Unveiled. And you'll see the black woman we forgot in history, the Black Patty, the old tea from 1928, Nanny Barrows, the 12 things the Negro man must do 93 years ago is shocking as hell. The African American black men selling off black women in slavery. The Arab trader Tip Who Tip. I gotta add part 2 to that too. Okay? So check out that playlist, all right? And I will add this video to the playlist as well. But for anybody coming in, please make sure you watch this video from the beginning. And I cannot wait to hear your opinions in the comments section. Okay? Bye, everybody. Have a good night. And thank you for supporting the channel.